Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Matt. Right. It looks like we can probably get things moving, and we'll do that just in the interest of time because I know Kaylee's at least lean on time, and let's see what we have. So I'll go ahead and take a quick roll call. Greg Walsh,
I'm here.
Kaylee Bentz. Okay, got you, Kaylee. I think you're frozen right now. Lida Scoggin,
I'm here.
Marsha Roby,
Here.
Matt Fogarty,
Yeah.
Danny Steyer,
I'm here.
Shelby Leon.
Here.
All right, and we have Clint Cobley, Sherry Pryor is joining us as a guest, as well as Chris Porter.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
We turned it off for just a second.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so at least we have 7. Let me double check. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We lost Kaylee for a moment, and he's probably coming back on. All right, and with that, may I have an approval of today's agenda?
I still move, Marcia.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Lida. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay, and then, so we did not have a quorum for the October 20th meeting. However, I did send out a summary, but I would like to backtrack a little bit and get an approval of the October 6th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I move to approve the October 2025 meeting minutes.
Thank you, Lida.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Danny. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? None. Okay, we'll move right into our first agenda item. Any public input for right now? Yes, Cast.
Still off?
No, it's on.
Oh, okay. I'm just seeing on your agenda, last time you talked about options for the continuation of the DFC, and I don't see that on the agenda this time. I'd be interested in the DFC continuing to talk about what they're going to do as you come to the end of your term.
Yeah, absolutely. I left it off because there really hasn't been anything that's changed in the last 2 weeks since things have been briefed. And I'm going to keep bringing it on the agenda as the situation develops.
Okay, I need to go take care of this.
He's on a phone call.
No problem. So yeah, I mean, but with the time that we have, we're not going to keep retreading over known information. So as the situation develops, I'll definitely update it. But there hasn't been any feedback given, nor has there been any change to that situation in the last 2 weeks. So that's why I didn't necessarily add anything to it. But yeah, it's not gone away.
Great.
So, okay. Let's see here. Let's see if I can, anything else public wise?
The biochar demo was awesome.
Yeah, so that was a good event that was hosted by the Warner Valley residents and then the individuals from the Mighty Summit Consortium and the Biochar Coalition that are doing the work up in Warner Valley. And Lida and her team were there, as well as those other individuals I mentioned last Tuesday. So it was a great day weather-wise. The 2 days prior, it was kind of rainy and snowy and all the above. And then it was a wonderful sort of 60-degree and sunny day, and lots of work to be able to see how the biochar burn happens with the different diameter kilns that the Biochar Coalition provides, and how they're able to concentrate the burn in a localized area, elevate the burning temperature to make it more efficient, and then leave behind less waste and debris, as is the intended purpose of the burning in the first place. So really neat. Yeah, Lida, did you have anything you might want to add on that as well?
Not really. I just was thrilled that Kest and Sherry and you showed up to see what it was all about. You know, it's a learning process for all of us, including the biochar people and the Maidu crew, but they have all gone into it with great enthusiasm and respect for one another and for the residents. So it's been really great.
Can you see
Yeah.
that it made a difference?
Oh, where there was a question or there was a comment?
Yeah, I have a question for Lida. Is the resulting biochar, it's like charcoal kind of stuff, is that buried, or is that what happened to the resulting biochar?
It's being just left on the ground, and what they're saying is that the best thing you could do with it is to kind of dig it into the ground.
Right.
Or compost it. I put a bunch of it in my compost up there, and I scattered it around in various other places. But what they're saying is that over the winter, with the snow coming, it will somewhat disintegrate over the winter and end up being more, not compacted, but blended into the soil. But it's definitely charcoal, and it's just like walking on a bunch of charcoal. But it's hopefully what they're saying is that whatever will grow there will grow better and faster with the charcoal layer there. So
Yeah,
we'll
I
see.
think one of the pieces that they touched on is that it, just like other amendments, it acts as a soil amendment, having that large concentration of carbon right there. So yeah, it was pretty neat. Clint, you have your hand up, and then we'll go to Greg real quick.
Hi, Lynn. Lida, this is Clint. I had a really big project last week, Tuesday and Wednesday, and I couldn't make it. Are you going to be having any more demonstrations? I really, really would like to see it, but I had one of the biggest projects almost in the history of our resort on Tuesday and Wednesday, so I couldn't make it.
Yeah, no, they're ongoing in Warner Valley at least to the end of this week. And they schedule, you should go to the biocharcoalition.org website, because they have demonstrations scheduled all over the place in the next few weeks, I think.
What's that site again, Lida?
It's biochar, BIOCHAR, coalition.org. Patrick just put it in the chat.
Okay, got it. Hey, thank you.
And I think they'll list, and if they don't list them, it's just two guys, basically. So, harass them and get information. They're very, very excited to be doing this project and to, spread the word wherever they can. So they will give you the information.
Greg, you had your hand up?
Yeah, it was, this was for like 10 properties. And I was just wondering how far along the whole process is in the Warner Valley for what we set out to do.
They spent last week, and they're continuing this week on several different properties in what we call the subdivision. You know, it's one section of Warner Valley where there are a whole bunch of different properties kind of adjacent to one another. So I don't know exactly where they stand at the moment, but they have done 2 properties for sure, and they've been working on another 6 this past week. So they have 3 or 4 more left to do.
Okay. How many acres was targeted in those 10?
I don't know. I mean, our property was like 6 acres, and Mike Lee's property was probably another 2, and then all of these little properties along the road are they're smaller parcels, like under an acre. But it's not how many acres, it's how many trees and how much. You know, they had to haul some of the trees up a hill from down by the creek, and I mean it's a lot of labor to get the stuff up there and then cut it. They have to cut it up into small enough pieces to get it into the kiln, and they want it smaller so it'll burn faster. So there's a lot. It's a huge amount of labor, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We'll go with Marcia real quick, and then we'll kind of move into our first grant request for today.
So Lida, when you look out at what they've done, I mean, does it make a huge difference in what used to be there and what isn't there now?
Yeah, it does.
So it makes it look a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it look a lot better, and hopefully, you know, by next spring it'll look even better. So we'll see.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that input. And Danny, to the point on your email, so we did, and for the benefit of the broader audience who maybe were not in attendance on the 20th, on October 20th. So we had 4 different grant requests on that day, 3 of which were from the Indian Valley Innovation Hub, and then 1 was from the Indian Valley Community Services District. So real quick, the one from the Indian Valley Community Services District, which was it's their grant request for community transparency. It's $25,000 that would go to the CSD to where they can hire additional staffing in order to. Oh, sorry. 1 second. Additional staffing to catch up on meeting minutes and do a number of other things with regard to their communications and public relations platforms. Also, we had Clint Cobley, who was with us, and he shared 3 different grants from the Innovation Hub. One was it was just a refinement of the move-in relocation grant, which we had heard in August, but this was kind of an update to it. And that was for $30,000. And then there was an additional one for the Indian Valley Job Creation Grant Program. And that also was a contribution, let me just double check, make sure I'm not getting confused, $35,000. And then the Made in Plumas online store e-commerce expansion grant package. And that was a small grant, but that was under $10,000 for, let me give you the exact number, $9,600. So those are the 3 grants that we heard from the Innovation Hub. Just as a little bit of a reminder, one of the caveats for the relocation grant was that SPI might be a major contributor to that overall $125,000 grant request. Or I'm sorry, like that's the total amount of need, not what is being asked for from the DFC. It would be $30,000 from the DFC. But that meeting with SPI is going to take place next week. And so that'll be between the Innovation Hub and SPI. And then on the issue of the employment jobs creation grant in Indian Valley, the Innovation Hub was also going to take that to the Chamber of Commerce and some other contributors as well. to see if anybody would kick in. And that was a total of $225,000 for the entirety of the program. And then on the Made in Plumas e-commerce expansion grant, that was $9,600 for to have an online platform for sales. There were some questions brought up about using existing web platforms, e-commerce platforms, whether it be Etsy, Amazon, etc. And there was, Sam Lenhart shared some experiences, or at least some knowledge with regard to Etsy and some of the how that may or may not help. But then there was, I think, some questions around what other platforms exist to be able to sort of nest underneath a larger e-commerce platform that people are already going to. So that's just a quick summary. Give me one moment, please, while I try to get into contact with Jane Brown, who's the band teacher. She's trying to log in right. Oh, there she is right there. Never mind. Okay. So we still have Lyda, Marsha, Greg, Danny. There's Jane, Shelby, and Matt. Okay, great. Hi, Jane. So thank you for tuning in. We got you right there. I want to, so for the steering committee, you understand that those 4 grants are pending, right? They've been requested, but no decision or action has been made on those 4 previous grants I just mentioned. Again, the Community Services District, they're still kind of working through some of their needs for communication. And then as I followed up on the Innovation Hub grants, the 2 of the larger ones, I have potential other contributors as well, not just the DFC, and then also questions around e-commerce platforms. Jane Brown is with us right now, and she's the director of the band programs, both in Chester and then at the Greenville schools, both Greenville Elementary School and Indian Valley Academy. And so working with an organization that she's on the board of, it's the Lake Almanor Basin Performing Arts Association. So they're the organization that's in the grant funds that would be applied to a youth music trip program to Disneyland's Imagination Sound Recording Workshop. I'll put a link to that program here in the chat with regard to some of the other things that they do. But all told, that program in the grant request is asking for once again, let me just make sure I got the right dollar amount and don't get my wires crossed here. $12,979 for use on that trip later on in the spring. And the overall breakdown is $4,000 for a bus, approximately $4,680 for hotel lodging, and then participation per student cost for the program, and park entry at $6,900. Again, just put the program itself in the chat so you can take a look at what it is, what that's providing to the students. And then Jane Brown is here to answer any questions or comment on the trip in general. And as this relates to other sort of like youth programs that the steering committee or others have contributed to, if you think about like Nature Made was a day camp, summer camp type experience, and some weekend during the school year, weekend opportunities here in Greenville. Trying to think if there'd been other youth funding. That was pretty much the preponderance of it. And then of course, trying to help through help any other the park project, which is a community project. But anyway, Jane, do you want to have anything that you'd like to elaborate on with regard to what this trip is all about?
Thank you, Patrick. Hello, everyone. Thank you for considering our request. I've taken students on this Disneyland sound recording excursion a couple other times in my career. In my experience, it's been one of the most impactful things I've ever done with students that were field trip oriented. They, even a decade or two later, they still will talk about the experience. They get to go in backstage at Disneyland, which is in and of itself kind of special. but they have a full-on orchestral sound recording studio there, complete with the headphones for every musician, the big screen where they time it with all the events going on in an animated classic. And the workshop involves showing the students how a sound recording is made for any movie really, but the Disney classics specifically. And then once the clinician has worked with the students a little bit musically, clinician picks out a section of one of the animated classics that he feels the music would suit their abilities well. And they work on the music for a while, and then they do several takes, just like in all the studios. And they learn how that sound recording process happens. They get to go back and listen to themselves and hear what they sound like on that really fine recording equipment. And then they pick the take that they like the best. They get to come home with that segment in the Disney movie with them playing the soundtrack that they can share with their family and friends and keep forever.
Yeah.
It's a really, really impactful opportunity. It also is a huge motivator for kids to do something that special. And they've been looking forward to it since last spring when we started looking at this as our spring culminating experience for the year for music. We have 21 or 22 students out of what do we have, 60 at IVA are involved in the band program. So it's a good third of the school population. We're hoping to see that grow over the years. You know, we're just transitioning into this agreement with Plumas Unified and coming back from COVID and all the craziness. So hopefully that will even be more in years to come. And they're making amazing progress. And I can teach them a lot of things in the classroom, but it's experiences like this when we take them out of the classroom and they get to see the real world of music, and they get to see possible professions that they could take part in terms of the backside of the music industry. So there's a lot of career exposure there, as well as, of course, musical exposure. So I feel like this, you know, is not something you would do every year. Probably you would do it once in every generation of kids at a school, because it's obviously very expensive and takes a lot of effort by everybody to get them there. But I think that this crew of Greenville students has been working so hard for so long to build our band program back, and they're really playing very well, that this would be the year to take them and let them have this really special experience. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments. We have, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, so off the couch is first, I played band in high school and such, and actually Trav Rupke's father was my instructor and such, so I have a very fond memories of actually going to Chico to the music festival there and such. So and better understanding. So I didn't quite catch how many people, is this not just Greenville, but there's other students involved in this?
Yeah, because I'm only one person, I often will combine the Chester and Greenville bands together. So that's why we have, you know, the triple actually and probably involve somewhere close to 30 students total. But we're not asking for the Dixie Collaborative to contribute toward the Chester students. They're finding their funding. Well, there was a rib cook-off this last summer. The students do busking outside of Holiday Market buskings where you sit there with the case, play, and people hopefully drop money into your case. That's actually been a pretty good fundraiser for them. So the Chester students are committed to and families are committed to getting their funds together, but they have a little bit different access to funds because it's a larger community. You know, there were people from out of the area who do the summer up, you know, so they really got some pretty good income off of that. They got almost about $3,600 off of the rib cook-off, which was really nice. Paid for their share of the bus. The $4,000 is Indian Valley's share of the bus on the budget there. So we're trying to kind of divide the cost of the trip as fairly as possible between the two schools. So the $12,000 is, and the Greenville students have been doing some fundraising. Several parents have donated toward the trip already. And they've also done a fundraiser. So there is some, as I indicated on the budget, there is some money already has been earned toward it, but it's a long shot to get from there to 12,000 more. So So any help that the Dixie Collaborative can give, you know, these students have been through a lot, and it's nice to give them an opportunity. When I told them that it probably was a better idea for us to take a charter bus than to try and take everyone's half crippled vehicle all the way to Anaheim in a caravan. We've had lots of adventures with flat tires and engines blowing up and things like that we don't want to replicate on that long of a trip.
Right.
When we told them that it might be a better idea to take the charter bus, and that's part of why the cost was a little higher than our last spring trip, their eyes got as wide as saucers. They're like, "You mean like a real music tour?" I said, "Yes, like a real music tour." So, you know, our students in Indian Valley, they're such great kids, and we have such great families, but people have struggled for quite a long time, even before the Dixie Fire. But of course, we've had a lot of challenges because that, you know, better than I do. But I think it's something really special that we could do for these kids and their families and the community, and it would give them not only a leg up and a shot in the arm that they are special and valued, but also for them to see the wider world and see, you know, some of the things that they take part in every day in terms of consuming professional music in soundtracks on YouTube, you know, when they watch a movie at home on their TV or whatever. And this shows them actually what goes into making that. And so I think that'll be a very educational opportunity as well.
Yeah, so they don't have any, the CSUs don't provide a music festival that on other years that you might go to and play?
Which organizations?
California State University, like Chico State, you know,
We do have some other events that we attend. We have an all-county band day that Plumas Unified School District puts on for our students. We also have some regional events. We do a couple events up in Tahoe that are an opportunity for them to, you know, be heard and to work with other students who are well motivated and things like that. So it isn't our only event for the year, but it is our culminating event for the year is what we would plan for. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Matt?
So it's a really long drive from here down to LA. Do you have any plans to stop off at any other kind of educational places along the way, like museums or art galleries or kind of fun things to do on the way down there?
Yes, I do always with my trips put in some cross-curricular and other educational type activities. Once we've got the basic nuts and bolts put together, my plan is for us to go down on a Thursday, just straight shot it down there to Anaheim, do the workshop and their day at the park on Friday, and then Saturday currently is open. And if it's so we could do a museum, we could go to a concert, there's so many things we could do down there. And I do like to do things of that nature, but I until we get just the basic bare bones figured out, I'm just leaving that day as the enrichment day, but I'm not sure what it is yet. Another thing I love to do is take them to a college campus, give them a tour of like their music building, and, you know, get them used to seeing themselves on that sort of a experience as well sometime in their future.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments? Okay, well, with that, would anybody like to? Yes. Go ahead,
So
Dan.
this is Dan here. I'm turning around looking at the budget and thinking about it, but I still see there's like 25 participants and it's 6,900, but you said it was split across. So how, this is the total cost per, or is it split, or? So I guess I'm saying there's not 25 students from Greenville, the Greenville area.
Right, correct. We have the numbers move around a little bit because I'm counting in some of the categories. I'm counting our chaperones to make sure we have enough supervision in the hotel and things like that. The cost that I'm asking that we're requesting is the amount for those students to attend this workshop. So it's not paying for adult passes to Disneyland. It's not paying for Chester students, housing, hotel, housing, bus, or passes. The amount that I'm asking for is just for the students from IVA to participate. I do anticipate that a couple of students will add band at the semester. So I'm trying to give myself enough room in there for a couple more kids if they come in.
Well, I guess I'm looking at student fees, and student fees reflect 25 students, but yet you say there's not 25 Indian Valley students, so it's still the total. So
I'm anticipating a few more students come in at the semester. So I believe I asked for a few more passes there because I'm anticipating we'll have some students add at the semester who are unable to take it this fall. If we didn't need that much money, we won't actually take that and use it for something else, if that makes sense.
So how many students do you have right now, Jane? You said 21?
I think it's 21. There's one
Yeah.
that may have to drop. We have 22 on the roll.
22 on the roll. So then there's a little bit of a buffer to add 3 students at the semester to be able to accommodate the cost. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
But if we ended up that we only had, 18 students signed up for the trip, when we do the final figuring, I'll give you that hard number.
Sure.
Just right now, it's hard to anticipate.
Yeah, there's just onesies and twosies that come and go. Sure.
Mhm.
And then what's the actual date of the trip again?
It's April. It's the last Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of April, whatever that is. Let me look.
Okay.
yeah, it looks like one.
23rd through the 26th.
Okay. All right. Well, are there any additional questions? And with that, would anybody like to put a motion forth to approve $12,979 to the IVA Symphonic Band Educational Field Trip to Disney's Imagination Sound Recording Workshop?
I
I would
so
make the motion. I've taken my bands from Chester there twice. It was one of the most fun thing I ever did. Kids loved it. And I work with Jane almost every day. And I know her kids, they're great kids.
I can't hardly hear you, Marcia.
Oh. I'm just saying that I've done that workshop before, taking kids to it, and it's amazing. And I know the kids, they're working really, really hard. They're very dedicated. And I get to see them almost every day working with Jane. So I would like to make a motion to pay $12,799.
$12,979. Okay, Marcia, thank you for the motion. Is there anybody that would like to second it?
I'll second it.
second it.
I think I got Lida first on that one. And then I'll do a roll call vote. So
We have questions? We take questions before voting, or I don't know.
I'm sorry, Dan. I asked a few times for questions, comments, or concerns.
No, I mean, usually it kind of comes in between here. I do have just one little question, concern. These funds are really earmarked for recovery and such. And so now I know this is an awesome cause, but I think I'm not quite sure how it fits into our charter. So that's my question here on that. So how does this fit within the purpose? And, as we don't have unlimited funds out there.
Yeah, exactly. And so can I just make a comment on the funds? Like, I think this is a worthy cause. I think it's great, but we've got, I think, 4 or 5 grant requests at the moment. And I think, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, we've got like 35 grand or 36 grand, something like that in the bank. So really we can fund 1 or maybe 2 of these, but we've got to be cognizant that if we are, perhaps if we're saying yes to this, we're saying no to ABC.
So right now we have $38,000 left that's available. Once again, so status of funds with the potential of $300,000 that would come back, which we're not going to know until maybe December at the earliest, and then into the first quarter of 2026, based off of any indication that we received from the Greenville Rancheria. So with regard to the larger grants that have been requested, the potential to be able to fund them is definitely there. The potential to fund them right now is not, based off of the limited funds that we have at $38,000. So then it would be prioritizing what, with the funds that we do have available and the amounts requested, what can we fund in their entirety is what I would recommend, based off of what we have. Is something to think about.
Yeah, so it just, we need to, be aware of that.
So I mean, if we fund this, then it takes us 38 minus 12 is 26.
So right now, so let's look at the two that you have today. There's the band one for almost $13,000. There's the feral cat one, which is 2,000. 13 plus 2 is $15,000. And then the least amount of funds requested out of the four that we heard 2 weeks ago is the CSD at $25,000. So $15,000 plus $25,000 is $40,000. That's approximately what we have left. We have 38 and change. And then, of course, North Valley Community Foundation, they have tens of thousands of dollars left, not hundreds, in their fund. So there is the potential that some of these could be heard by the North Valley Community Foundation Committee, and they could just fund them outrightly based off of the money that they have. And that's a recommendation that you all could make and ask for. Again, as has been lingering and we've been talking about for a number of weeks and months, is the $900,000 that's committed to the Greenville Rancheria. Of note, North Valley Community Foundation is they drafted an email to then draft official loan documents that have more timeline considerations, so that no later than March of 2026, if the Rancheria agrees to it, March of 2026, we'd have some more indications and updates as to what the ability financially of the Rancheria is to pay for what has been indicated as being a $16 million rebuild of their facility. So again, just to think about, what's available right now, what's available in 3 months, what's available in 6 months. That was sort of like the nod that I was giving in that email, is to think about the time phasing of things and the prioritization. And also, what are things that are urgent? What are things that are important? What are things that are nice to have? Sharon Kest, you have your hand up.
All right, is the microphone on? Along with the list that you just gave, what were the amounts that the Innovation Hub was requesting for their various grants?
$30,000 for the move-in relocation grant, $35,000 for the Indian Valley Jobs Creation Grant, and then $9,600 for the e-commerce grant. Caveat with the first two, I would say, is that both of those are hinged upon other contributors giving money, because both of those, the $35,000 for the overall $225,000 is, but and what is that, 15% or so of the overall amount that they need. And then the $30,000 is roughly 25% of the move-in relocation grant. So even if you all decide to grant that money, then you're waiting on SPI to contribute money, and you're also waiting on the chambers or whoever else the Innovation Hub goes to. Again, those are worthwhile enterprises as well, but they're hinged on other people that you have no control or influence over. So that's a consideration. Those are also time phased as well, meaning that those organizations have to determine what their funds look like and when they can let loose of those funds to the Innovation Hub as well. So that's a consideration that if, let's say, the Rancheria calls today and says, here's your $300,000 loan back, and you're able to fund all of these today, Whether or not those other contributors come in to fund those other grants in their entirety remains to be seen.
Are those all the grants to be considered at this point?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and the $25,000 from the Indian Valley Community
DFC.
Services District,
Right.
who's
Yeah.
also pending a large PG&E settlement. So they may get a call tomorrow saying, hey, here's millions of dollars, and then they may not need the $25,000 that they're asking for. It may also be next year. So I don't want to, give anybody a false impression that that's in the works. I mean, they've said time and time again that they just don't know, and I have no reason to doubt that. Other thoughts or considerations?
So Patrick, me again, and I started this off, have been a band member, playing in band and such. I definitely value that, but I just question the scope at this point and this early with the questions we have about where our funds are.
Yeah. So here's another thing is,
so I don't want to vote. I would say,
yeah, here's another one is that, as Jane said, this trip is at the end of April, right? So the potential also exists that this motion gets tabled until there's more knowledge around the DFC's funds and then the interplay with these other funding sources, right? And that goes back to, again, so some of you may have not heard it, but 2 weeks ago, a recommendation that I had is that we just table all requests for right now until we know more about what our funding disposition is, right? Because you can, prioritize under urgent, important, or nice to have. But if things change in the next couple weeks, and again, I say couple weeks, it could be 4 weeks, could be 6 weeks, could be 3 months. I don't know. But if the funding disposition changes that drastically, then that changes your decision-making calculus drastically.
So right. So I guess a question to Jane in thinking about this, contracts, commitments, and, student anticipation. We don't want to crush students. You say, yes, we're going, then have to adjust or whatever. So at what point in time would, significant dollars have to put down in order to secure lodging and or signing off on the contract that you're going to come that the studio is going to allow? So that's a question, as far as funding and what has to be done. So
What's our timeline on
Yeah.
on our obligations? I'm probably okay on the bus. He's probably going to want at least a portion of the funds by the end of January. Hotel, end of January, we're probably okay. Disney is requiring our payment sometime in February. So I'm thinking end of January for all three obligations. The tricky part is whether or not we're having to rob banks and sell our firstborn child down the river, or whether we think that we've got some funding and backing and maybe just do fundraising to try and, do what we can, but maybe not be quite as frantic in our scramble for funds. I'm worried about being able to fundraise the money in our current economic environment. And of course, the holidays is taxing for families, and then January they have no money. So if we don't have some sort of some backing to that we know we can pull off the trip one way or another, maybe by the end of the holidays, I think that it's going to seriously undermine whether we can go or not.
Okay, so no later than to make decisions for you is January, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, early January would be nice to know, and we certainly wouldn't need the money before the end of January, I think.
Okay, that's good information. Greg, you had your hand up, and then Lida.
Yeah, I was just curious, who else have you approached? I know I was thinking actually of Plumas Strong. Sue Weber is amazing at getting grants for education purposes.
Mm-hmm. Are because of Josh Millie's, the parents that we've had some meetings, and the parents have been talking about what would be the best approach. Josh Millie suggested that I approach Patrick and your committee about it. Certainly recommendations for other groups that you think might be supportive of it would certainly lower the amount we would need to request, right? If different organizations share in that cost.
Okay.
So Plymouth Strong would be one, maybe anyone else who has recommendations, maybe you could shoot me an email or send me a note or something on that.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I mean, Plymouth Strong might work, but I can't think of anybody else.
You could approach Rotary.
There you go. Lida, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Danny asked the question, how is this related to recovery from the Dixie fire? And I wondered if Jane had any thoughts about that.
I do. I've been weighing that actually when approaching you was considered, mentioned to me. It certainly isn't an investment in things. It's not an investment in, equipment at the baseball field or, other things that would be of more permanent nature, but it is investing in the youth of the community, some of whom will stay in the Indian Valley, some of whom will probably go on and do great things and maybe come back someday. But I think that is part of recovery.
Yeah.
Is helping our kids. So I really do think it is connected to the recovery from the Dixie fire. It's been my privilege to teach these kids since 2020 with the COVID shutdown. And it's wonderful to watch them go from being in a really rough place to starting to see hope, see a future, see themselves as capable, to see themselves as, I don't know.
Valued.
Yes,
Important, cared about.
A lot of times, we would get the students from the different schools in the county together for a musical event. And I would watch our Greenville kids kind of cower in a corner, and they were very worthy to be there, but they lacked the confidence. They lacked the assurance that they were worthy of the vote of confidence from the adults in the area, from their fellow students in other schools. So trying to foster that growth has been part of my job as an educator. And to the extent that we can help them gain that confidence and those skills and that hope in their future, bodes well for Indian Valley, regardless if they become a rancher or a restaurant owner or a real estate investor or whatever they end up doing, or they go out of the area and they do great things, and then they show hope to the future generations of students that you can be somebody, you can do something awesome. And the fact that you came from a small town who went through some really hard times just makes you stronger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think underneath that consideration, again, when you think about some of the other lines of effort that come under recovery, there was the Health and Wellbeing Committee of a couple of years back that talked about social and emotional programming. And that included both not both, but all three of seniors, adults, and children, youth. And I don't think that that's like a kind of a loophole way to kind of explain this away. I think I don't know that I could say it any better than what Jane just provided. But also, I mean, if you think about Clint brought forward in the Innovation Hub, a recruitment platform, right? A move-in relocation grant, which is a neat idea. And that's a great way to recruit individuals to our community. How do you retain the individuals that we already have? How do you retain high school students that are thinking about, well, gosh, there aren't that many opportunities for me where I live, so I'm going to leave, right? So to me, like, these are programs that are they work in concert with one another, right? You have to have recruitment and you also have to have retention. And our schools have invested time and energy in what's called career technical education, which is surrounding that premise of having industry leaders in your community create educational opportunities in and out of your community so that those students, those, burgeoning young adults can see and have demonstrated like opportunities for them to where they can see where they can actually earn a living back in their community. Some of them that have gotten started off in the last couple of years have been around healthcare. Some have been around the trades. Some have been around like fabrication, like welding and fabrication. But there is an arts component to it as well. And again, this is, to me, the connective tissue isn't like a loophole of just kind of like a nice way to say like, oh, well, this kind of falls under. I think it's directly tied to that and how you recover the next generation into a disaster economy and in a disaster in area. So it's just something to think about as, we think about some of the other grants that are out there. Again, back to, Clint talks about the decline of population coming, right? So how do you retain the population that you already have? Is this one experience going to do that? No, that's not what I'm suggesting at all. Is it a data point? Is it a layered approach that provides exactly what Jane that Jane just described in terms of opening the aperture, the perspective of what's possible for some of our students as they have this overlap of both the arts and education in their lives that enriches what they bring back into our community. But that still doesn't change the fact that we only have $38,000 that's available and that you may have to prioritize what you do now, then, or some other time. So this is all food for thought as we continue here. Yes, Danny, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so I'm looking at, thinking about this as an up to type of an amount, and to encourage and, go to the Rotary, go to others for that support. Because, I hear deep down with a desire for this, I understand that, being a product of Greenville, kindergarten through 12th grade, and like I say, being a band member, a lot of that, but I still have this other little bit of concern, and really you need buy-in from Indy Valley as well, and how well that's supported for their students to go and to help encourage that. So, and it is still nagging. And I understand the discussion of being there for the emotional well-being and things, and I kind of see that. But I guess I'm saying I'd like to see support for this, but not necessarily all out, the whole thing. I'd like to see more buy-in and at least attempt at getting buy-in, because then everybody can really truly appreciate that this is what our students did. So,
Okay.
my thought on that.
Matt, you have your hand up.
Yeah, if we could go back to the election, I'd like to vote yes, and I'd like to a little bit different from what Danny's saying. I think that if we can vote yes and let Jane get back to her work of working with the kids and all that stuff, like I've had it before with grants where it's like, can you get a grant? And it's like, how about you dance a little bit more? Not that I'm saying that's what Danny's saying, but sometimes that's the reaction, and just getting to the point of organize something well enough and being in a position to actually credibly ask for a grant. Like Jane's already done like so much work, and if we can give her the 12 grand and let her get back to focusing on the kids and focusing on the programs and all these things, sure, if these other organizations do chip in, that's great, but I don't think that we have to condition it on these other things, because it just complicates and makes it harder to focus and harder to just gain that commitment. Because if we say yes today as a team right now, Jane can like go back home and like be happy and like move on and like really start planning this stuff and buying the tickets and organizing the whatever, the chaperones and all that good stuff. You know, there's so much work to come. So anyway, I'd like to vote yes myself, and not have to, for Jane to be able to go back and focus on the kids.
Okay, we'll back up a half step, Matt, just to renew what the motion is, but you are asking for a motion, is that correct?
Yeah. I thought we'd actually started voting on it, and then
We got to a motion, and then we got to a second, and then Danny had asked for some more questions and consideration.
Okay, right. We didn't actually. No one had voted. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah.
That's correct.
We can let. I mean, we can reiterate if we think that we're ready to go to a vote.
Okay. So again, there was a motion from Marshall Roby to support $12,979 to the IVA Symphonic Band educational trip to Disney's Imagination Sound Recording Workshop. That motion had been seconded by Lyda Scoggin.
Yeah.
Okay. So Matt, and you're saying we'd like to continue on with the vote.
Yeah, I'd like to continue on the vote, and I'll vote yes.
Okay, Matt Fogarty votes yes. Lyda Scoggin,
Yes.
Marsha Roby,
Yes.
okay. Danny Steyer,
I thought my mic was on, but it wasn't, sorry. I'm gonna abstain, no vote.
okay. Okay, Greg Walsh,
Oh, it's tough. Emotionally, it's really easy to want to do this. We're so limited in money right now, and we could just use Matt's argument, like just give everybody what they ask for and be on with it. So I'm gonna do with Danny. I think I'm gonna abstain on this one. Emotionally, I'm there, but no, I'm not voting. No, I'm abstaining.
okay. And Shelby Lamb.
Yes.
All right, we have a yes vote from Shelby. So that's of our quorum of six personnel steering committee. We have 4 affirmative votes and 2 abstentions. So it's my understanding that motion is approved for $12,979 to the grant recipient will be the just want to make sure I have the name correct. Lake Almanor Basin Performing Arts Association. It's a nonprofit, did check the registry, and it is in good standing, and all of its documentation is current. And then Jane, this money would be contributed for the IVA students as briefed in the grant application. And thank you for taking the time today to discuss it with the team. And I know that there's a lot of back and forth and very good considerations from the steering committee brought up. And hopefully this contributes to a successful trip for you and most importantly, your students. So thank you.
Just
everyone.
just one request to Jane. Please send photos from the trip.
We
Go
will.
forth and do good work.
We will. And thank you all for your comments. It was illuminating.
All right. Thank you, Jane. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Again, just through that process, it highlights the kind of the gravity of the situation based off of where the DFC is right now in the environment, and then just the funding opportunities. I think, talked a lot with Kim and a little bit with Bill because he's come on the net to talk specifically with regard to the Rancheria agreement, and a little bit of let me rephrase that. A sense of urgency is being applied to that because of exactly what was just talked about in the last 45 minutes. Is when resources are limited, it makes the decisions that much more challenging and difficult, right? And so if we can alleviate that to some degree for you all, and that you can simply just look at a grant request on its merits and how it's, what is it used to provide and how does it relate to recovery and so on and so forth, then the decision making for you all, like the system's not as pressurized, right? And it doesn't make things feel like there's so much weight on it. Again, Clint's here. We do have those three. And Clint, just real quick, the meeting that you all have with SPI it's next week, is that correct?
Yes, it is. And I have some exciting news. We actually, well, first of all, thank you, Patrick, and thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. We actually met with SPI last week, and it was very exciting. They asked us to come back next week, and we're flying. Samantha is flying up. They want us to take a tour of the mill and film it, and they want to designate several positions that are very important to them. And the reason they want to do that is that if our program works, they'd like to make a long-term investment. And that excites us because we want to prove ourselves. It's not just for SPI, it's for all anchor institutions that could probably help us do that, whether it's the school district, whether it's Plumas County, if it's Seneca Hospital, if it's Plumas District Hospital, whatever the anchor institution, if through our marketing we can attract the people that they're looking for, we feel that's really exciting. So we're going to meet next week. I think it's Wednesday, the 12th at 2:30. We're taking the tour. We're going to be doing filming, and they're going to talk to us about what positions they want, and then hopefully they'll make a commitment. So that's the update I got. I did, Patrick, and I think you and I talked about this earlier. I did turn my numbers around. I had them transposed. I got that done, and then I submitted that, so that's
Yeah.
done.
And thank you for that, Clint. I did see that today, and Kim Dufour and I were talking about it. I think she's going to follow up with you. I'll double check on that. But
Sure.
just around the budget, some more fidelity specifically. So there's this piece of $75,000 for IT support, and I think it's the 62,500 that goes towards Samantha and what her work is doing. Then there's another 12,500 that's involved with some of the ad spacing, I think, and some of the other services that you're providing on different social media platforms. And Kim's not hang up, but concern is just being able to really draw out the quote unquote IT services and what that is by function and who's doing that work. And then the other thing would be taking Sam off as a signer, because since she's doing the work,
Yeah.
she wouldn't be signing to receive the funds herself.
Yeah, she would.
And then the other thing was still the sort of circular nature of the Innovation Hub executing the grant, but the Almoner Foundation bringing in the money as opposed to the Innovation Hub just bringing in the money. I know that Sam talked about the bulk funding that a foundation needs to have based off of a relatively recent
Yeah, as of July 1st, new laws.
was that was from the state, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. So the state state law, but still just want to just in like black and white, why it wouldn't just be easier to give the innovation, like if the grant gets approved, all the money goes to the Innovation Hub. But
Yeah, I'm studying the law myself and getting some clarity. And Samantha and I would love to meet with Kim, and we want to review that new law
okay,
one more time, just so we're real accurate with it. We don't want to. Now's not the time to make a faux pas on that. So
yeah, no problem. And and that's with regard to, we could probably hash out the budget, these other funding streams that are potential, whether it be SBI or anybody else involved.
Yeah.
And then understand really who's administering the grant.
yeah, okay.
Because I don't even know that it would be necessary for the Almoner Foundation, nothing against the Almoner Foundation, but if you all are doing the work, and you have
That
all
was our
the-
original intent, and it's just that when the Elmer Foundation mentioned this new law, we had to look like, okay, are we gonna have to rethink this? And we haven't gone through that law to
So
thoroughly.
maybe what I could do, I'll email you and Kim and Sam separately.
Yeah,
And we'll take 30 minutes and just run through all that, just
perfect.
so we're not doing death by 1,000 paper cuts here.
Yep, perfect.
Greg, you have your hand up.
Whoops. Just knocked my glasses off. Yeah, so the anchor tenant thing was instrumental or a key part of Tyler and RRA, their project. I'm wondering why that didn't happen and how is it going to be different with this project?
I'm sorry, which one, Greg?
So was it Tyler was trying to raise money to build workforce housing, and the whole thing was going to be based on having anchor tenants, right? To have Sierra Pacific, to have the hospitals, to have agree to rent,
Okay,
spaces
so
for
that's a
workforce.
different project. So what Clint and I were just talking about was the move and relocation grant.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. The one that you're talking about, yes, that is so the Almoner Foundation is handing that over to Plumas Rural Services. And that is so we're meeting tomorrow with Paula Johnson to talk about they're going to kind of absorb that from the Almoner Foundation, and PRS is receiving through Plumas County. And so let me back up. Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, the single family reconstruction money that was not used for all of the 20 single family reconstruction sites. Housing and Community Development at the state level, they've reallocated that money with Plumas County to be what's called a scattered sites program. And so they're in the process of identifying 19 scattered sites in the burn scar area to then be able to place 38 units on using $8.75 million of federal grant money from Housing and Urban Development that was then allocated to Housing and Community Development at the state level. And so that CDBG DR money is being work plan amended to then apply to this program. So that's $8.75 million that will go into that. There's a delta of approximately $3 million that's still required for the development of those 38 different sites, or correction, 19 different sites and 38 different units. And so Plumas Rural Services is working on a donation campaign of of those organizations that you just mentioned, Greg, between SPI, the hospitals, I think the Forest Service, FRC maybe, but a few to offset that $3 million gap that they have. So anything they get through donation, then that reduces the amount that they would ever have to get through a loan through Plumas Bank to make the entire build possible. So I know that's a lot. What I'm going to do is I'll make like a graphic that depicts where that money is now and how it could be reallocated based off of an entirely new grant from Plumas Rural Services to support that. But there's a couple of those details I still need to get, and I'm meeting with Kim and Paula tomorrow to find out.
Okay.
Do you have your hand up still? Did you have something else or?
This is a different question, but it's,
You're muted, Greg.
to stay in Plumas County, that project to lower rents. I was wondering what kind of success they had on that.
I only picked up state lower rents in Plumas County. Could you ask your question again?
There was the project to keep people to lower rents for workforce housing. It was based on a Truckee project.
Oh yeah, so PlaceMate. Yep. Right now
Did we
that project has gone nowhere. So the Plumas Housing Council, they just briefed that last week that they have no new updates on that. However, my understanding is that Placemate is like redoing their model to kind of square peg round hole in Plumas County. Right. So the next step is for Placemate to come back with a workable solution based off of what they do right now, and then how that might work in some of our resort communities, whether it be Lake Almanor or like the Gray Eagle, Blairsden area, something to that effect. But that was on the Housing Council agenda last week, and they just said that there are no new updates. However, it does require follow-up.
So the money that was granted to make that happen, what is that being spent on people working on this and not getting a result, or is that what's happening to the $100,000?
I don't know the answer to that, Greg. That's what I'm saying. Like there have been no new updates provided, and last I was told is that Placemate was working on the new model. So
Okay.
yeah, it requires more follow-up, and that's a great thing about every time you all grant money out, the grantee is required to provide reports, right? So then the onus is on the Almanor Foundation to provide a report, and usually they have a year for that, is the general cycle. You all granted out that money 11 months ago. So tick tock, in a month, they're required to file a report with North Valley Community Foundation.
Okay.
Good to go? Danny Steyer, you have your hand up.
Yes, so back up in regards to the 600,000 that was granted to the Almanor Foundation.
It's the same, that's the same batch of money that we're talking about here.
I understand.
Okay, yeah.
So only $54,405 has been allocated, used, spent, quote unquote.
That's correct.
And so, you know, now we're talking that is going to be given to Plymouth Rural Services.
It won't be given, no. So
No.
here's the thing. It doesn't sound like the program as briefed by the Almanor Foundation is going to happen. So that's what we're talking about, is trying to basically, hey, Almanor Foundation, good try. It didn't work out for you. So that money comes back, right? Comes back to the Dixie Fire Fund, because based off of that grant agreement, they had till December 25th, 2025. Okay. So I pinged them about in September to say, you have 3 months left to make good on the grant agreement. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. PRS is going to carry on with this housing project, whether or not they ever get a contribution from the DFC, North Valley, SPI, anybody. If PRS has to take out a loan for $3 million, they're prepared to do so. If they can solicit nonprofit and other like business corporations, what have you, to offset the $3 million to reduce their debt, then they'll do that as well. So that money that you're talking about, Danny, on December 26th, that might just come right back to us, right? Because the Almanor Foundation, if they haven't met the parameters of the grant agreement, then they don't get to use the money anymore.
Right. I kind of became aware of this because, you know, I have a Delta. When I go in and look at right now, it was changing things back and forth on our balances fluctuated by that amount because it was dedicated, but it wasn't spent. So then, you know, I just got off the phone where I was talking to Carson at the very beginning of the meeting, trying to understand that. So that's more dollars that could come back in to be allocated. But yeah, I would
absolutely. It could.
Right.
It could. Absolutely could. And it just, because like right now, there's no indications or warnings that the Almanor Foundation, and it's again, like not a criticism of anybody or anything. It just hasn't happened, right? They just haven't been able to get it together in the way that they described. And they're less than 2 months away from that, from, you know, everything turning back into pumpkins, right? And then,
Right.
and
Okay.
then that's it, right? So if that's what happens, that's what happens, and then it's back to square one.
Yeah, I did want to make that clear because I had seen the Plymouth Rural Services coming in here, and some people automatically thinking maybe that you know,
Here's one thing I can
545,000.
I can guarantee that PRS is going to apply for a grant to do something similar. Whether or not the steering committee approves that grant it remains to be seen. That's up to you all.
Okay.
And
Right.
whether or not the steering committee approves that grant, Plymouth Rural Services is still going to carry on with that housing project.
Right. They've
Because
got a
they're
lot.
gonna get 8.75 from Plymouth County to do it.
Right.
So the county is putting up 75%, and then they're looking for an additional quarter.
Okay.
And either they get that quarter offset by private and public contribution, or they just get a loan for it through Plymouth Bank.
Right. Right. Okay.
It's a lot to keep track of, I know.
Yeah.
And for the next time we meet, I'll make like a graphic. I think like a little not to insult anybody's intelligence, but I drew this out on a whiteboard with arrows and boxes to kind of make sure that I understood it all. And I think I'm just gonna recreate that. Picture tells 1,000 words, right? So I think I'm just gonna make a little picture. Okay. So we got a little off agenda, a lot off topic. That kind of went into a little bit of our second bullet underneath. No, it's all right. No, it's a good question. It all works. Let me go back up to Friends of Plymouth Animals. So I read you, I don't know if everybody was on the call. I read a letter from them 2 weeks ago. And this is a grant request for $2,000 for a spayathon. And the spayathon in the grant, you can see overall what their breakdown is. The grant rather is pretty detailed. The budget. And it looks like what they're asking for, the $2,000, is simply a contribution towards that overall amount, based off of what they have in personnel, facilities, and then supplies and other expenses for the spayathon. And they're scheduling this for March of 2026. Just FYI, back to the time thing, like if this is something that you want to table, as has happened with some of these other grants until there's more known about finances. But it is $2,000, which again, I'm not trying to be dismissive of it, but it's not that much money. And I think based off of the letter, and then really if you look at some of the information that was provided in the information provided in the grant itself, where they talk about the issue of what it is, and then the mitigation of what Friends of Plymouth County Animals and Paws have done in order to get after the feral cat population, which the team here feels has been exacerbated by the Dixie Fire.
100%.
I don't know if anybody caught this. I sent out the draft version of this on Friday with the agenda. However, I followed up today with an updated the final version that was submitted. If there are any thoughts about that.
I think that
Yeah,
it's
Greg.
a little money, and it's a constant problem. If you don't really keep on it, it's a health issue. And it's an animal suffering issue as well. So for $2,000, I think that it's a really good thing. I mean, they did, like I said, 85 cats in the last spayathon. So I don't know how many hundreds of kittens that would be had they not done that.
Yeah, in Leanne Tramel's letter, I can pull it back up, but she had some of that data that she had provided 2 weeks ago. It was a lot. I mean, I was actually kind of taken aback by the numbers, the data that they had.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hundreds and hundreds of additional cats roaming around. So,
well, Greg, do you want to put
I'll make a
Danny,
motion
you got
that
a
we
question?
approve
I'm
that.
sorry. Yeah, it looks like there's a question. Danny, you're having
Yeah, I get a little bit of a question. When did you say that this was scheduled for?
March of 2026.
March. So I'm looking at this. It sounds kind of interesting. It's non-critical. We got till March. There are funds out there. If we were to allocate this, there are funds that we actually are on the table that haven't been discussed for a vote yet. That if we did this, we would not be able to fund those. And I think they're
So,
on the higher
well,
priority.
I understand what you're saying. I would say that just given the low dollar amount of this being $2,000, like this wouldn't necessarily impact like because like when we know more in the next couple months about what it could be potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's more of the like of like Clint's grants, right? Clint
Yeah.
on 2 out of 3 of his grants needs $65,000. That would be an impact. We're going to make more than $2,000 in interest, and we're still what's available in the next month.
Right, but just looking at what the round numbers we did initially looked at, if we look at this, we have already allocated 13K. We allowed another 2K, that's 15K. We're down to then what, 23K?
That's correct.
And we can't go forward with that. And quite honestly, there's an item I'd like to discuss and vote on that funding would prevent it from even being considered.
Yeah, great.
Having
Which one
money
is
in the
that,
bank.
Danny? Which one is that?
That's the IVCSD.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So we can table this because again, it's not until March of 2026 when they need it.
Right.
Okay. Is that
Yeah. That's what I'm asking then.
okay? Thoughts on that?
I think that's legit. I'm really
Okay.
interested in the IBCSD grant.
All right. So we'll table this grant request until further notice. And then we'll bring it back around. I'll let the Friends of Plymouth Animals know that, and then we'll just kind of keep it out there. Okay, so that takes us to our next agenda item, coordinator update, review of previous grants. So I kind of jumped ahead and talked about the Innovation Hub ones. Again, that's 30,000 for the move-in relocation grant, 35,000 for the jobs creation grant in Indian Valley, and then $9,600 for the e-commerce one. Again, the first two are sort of contingent on other contributors as well. And then the $9,600 one, there were some questions about applicability in terms of the platform and if there'd been any other investigation of using e-commerce platforms that exist already, and then just sort of getting a licensing agreement or just kind of nesting underneath that as opposed to doing a from scratch platform. Clint, were there any other updates or details for that?
Well, I just want to give you some numbers because I started writing this grant, gosh, a month or so ago. Anyway, you're all familiar with the Quincy Hub and where we have the Made in Plumas County store, which we opened on December 6th of last year. And since December 6th of last year, we have a door counter that counts the number of people coming in. We've had over 18,000 people walk into our building from 40 foreign countries, 48 states. We're only missing Hawaii and Mississippi. And we started, I think, last year with about 20 to 25 product makers, and now we're up to 67. And I'm very happy to say that 17 of them are from Indian Valley. So that's very substantial. That's like 1 in 3. That's pretty amazing. That's actually probably the biggest single area of product makers is coming from Indian Valley. So, and to date, we've sold over $60,000 of product from Made in Plumas County, and that's products that have gone through the hands of product makers all across Plumas County. But like I said, it's 17 product makers from Indian Valley, and we've also sold about almost $8,000 worth of Quincy Chamber merchandise. So we're riding on almost $70,000, and in our best 2 months are staring us in the face, the holidays. So we think we're going to have a good first year, in getting established. The other thing that I want to tag on to this is that in addition to the Made in Plumas County store, since we've interfaced with, product makers that we weren't aware of before. I personally have helped 9 Indian Valley businesses get their 2021 Dixie Fire for-profit grant of nearly $20,000. It's usually about 19,700 or just below 20,000, but I've helped 9 businesses in Plumas County get that grant. And that's because of the Made in Plumas County store. Jake, our IT director, has also helped design websites for people in businesses in Indian Valley. He's helped with their search engine optimization, Google Maps, digital presence, and all those things. So we've really made some great contributions, for this. Now, why do we want to do the online store? Well, we think we can up our sales of 20 to 40% in the first year because we have a lot of people that come through that used to be from Plumas County. They buy things, and once they buy things and leave, they have no access to our store. So we think that that's always a good market. There's just people that come from all over the country and all over the world that come to town, and they like our products. So we think that's going to be a great thing in helping our product makers, regardless of where they're at, up their sales like 20 to 40%. Do we think that we can use Shopify or whatever system we use? Our IT director is extremely familiar with all of those platforms, and he's confident that with the approach, and Patrick, I think I sent you this project proposal Made in Plumas County narrative that explained how we're going to do all that. I think I attached that to the grant application, did I not? It pretty well walks through and how this would be done and how we could handle it. So
Yeah, I think so, Clint. I sent it out 2 weeks ago, I
okay.
believe. If it was
Just wanna
part of the
make
grant
sure.
application.
Yeah, I wish I had our IT director on this phone call because I'm not an IT person, and I appreciate you. Any questions and all questions. It's just that I'm not the best at answering some of those IT questions, But
Yeah, oh, good.
I just want to say that we're really excited. We think this could be another big. There was a big step for us to start this store, and to do what we did in less than a year. And we think we could take another big step. So we're very, very excited about it. So the total cost is about 10,800, but we wanted to stay underneath the limit of the small grant under 10,000. So we submitted $9,600.
Great.
And I'd love any one of you to stop by, talk to Jeff or Jake that's there all the time. We're open 7 days a week. We're one of the few businesses that's open 7 days a week, and we have been since December 6th of last year. So hours are 10 to 6.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just trying to drop this in the chat because I want to make sure that everybody has it, but I know that I sent it out 2 weeks ago. Why is that not dropping in there? That's right. I'll worry about that in a second. Thanks for that further elaboration, Clint, on the overall process. Matt, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah. So I just checked out the Spotify site. So it's $1 a month. It's $1 a month for the first 3 months, and then it's something after that. So I'm not sure how much it is after that, but it's inexpensive, and basically it makes it very. You don't have to be a developer or a designer to use it, and you can upload images and upload prices and upload products, and it's a simple platform to base your e-commerce on. And also Spotify also has like a POS system as well, that if you wanted to have that in the store that's going into the same system, it can integrate there as well, because then you'll have your list of SKUs, and it can work really well. And Spotify is very easy to use. So I'm just wondering,
Is it Spotify or Shopify?
Sorry, Shopify. Sorry, yeah. If you guys look up Shopify right now, everyone, it looks really easy to use. But my once you've got the, I mean, setting up the platform is simple. You know, if you've got a website, you can connect it to it, and you can customize it with your logo and stuff like that. And then the harder work is like, say you've got 500 products or something like that, taking photos of all the products and uploading the data and saying whatever amber necklace looks like a deer, $27, whatever. Entering that, the data entry is more is probably 90% of the work. And I'm wondering that 10 grand, does that, like, what's that going to cover? Because if you do use Shopify, basically you don't need to be developing much. It's basically they give you a platform that works with e-commerce, it works with credit cards, etc., etc. Boom, it's super easy to use. And but there's a lot of setup work. So can you elaborate on the 10 grand?
Well, the one-time costs are, the premium website, theme, the shipping scale and thermal label printer, basic photography, lighting kit, initial stock of shipping supplies, boxes, tape, filler, things like that. Those are total estimates of like $1,250 for the first year. Shopify advanced plan is 300 a month. Transaction fees 2.6% plus 30 cents per transaction. A marketing budget of 500 a month. Shipping supplies ongoing, and then estimated monthly cost excluding variable fees is about $500 to $800, so it came up to a little over 10,000. And our IT manager would be, he's written a pretty strict narrative on how product makers would have to adhere to this. Otherwise, we don't want to advertise something that's a big sell and have a product maker not be able to fulfill any orders. Would make us look bad. So I know that's a concern, but I think it's one of the simpler platforms to get off the ground. And if we're going to do an online e-commerce platform, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, that sounds sensible.
Okay, any other thoughts or considerations on it? Yes, Greg.
I mean, I haven't been in the store for a while. The last time I was in there, it looks like it's mostly a lot of jewelry. So relatively small ticket items. My sense is, I mean, you have all these people coming into the store. I suspect a lot of those, I mean, are people either locals, but I mean, are people visiting? But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you're going to drive traffic by creating a brand new entity. I don't know how you're going to drive traffic to it to buy essentially like small ticket items. I mean, I don't know. I think it makes more sense to me to use an already existing platform than to create something from scratch.
I will agree with you. We do have a lot of jewelry, but we're getting more and more clothing, a little bit more artwork, some great woodwork. And I have to tell you, we have had great success without any signage on any highway that says visitor center ahead, which would bring them into the building. And once they get in the building, of course, they see the store, So I have to also say that in the middle of the summer, and it took a while for us to catch on to this, Quincy's kind of like the central meeting point of the Pacific Coast Trail hikers, from the south or from the north. Actually, coming down from the north, they probably hit Chester first, but coming up from the south, they hit Quincy. But we have found that through some of our volunteers, which are also trail angels, that by going up to Bucks Lake and picking people up, that the average purchase, by some of those hikers was, very close to $300. And we tapped into that very late in the game, So I think, goals in the future would be signage on the roads, more penetration into PCT, hikers, and then of course online store, online presence. And then, of course, we're hoping that we could have a lot of organizations in Plumas County link to our online store. So we think we could grow it exponentially through a lot of networks and partners. Just because it's a good brand, it's has a lot of loyalty in it, and um, I'm just as excited about it now as ever. I don't know if you've been in there lately, Greg. It's probably as well organized as I've seen it. It's just really done. Jeff's done an excellent job of kind of reorganizing it and things like this here, getting some more stands and display racks and things like that. So
Yeah, I haven't been in for like a month or two, but I mean, and I like the store, I do. I just think that trail angels, or Pacific Crest hikers buying souvenirs basically is what we're talking about to me. I don't think that, when you go back to Denmark, are you going to really log on to Plumas Made in Plumas to buy, a $20 bracelet?
well, maybe not, but I think our biggest market is from people who used to live in Plumas County somewhere, and they want to take a momentum back to their kids or friends or whatever. And having an online store would give them an attachment if they wanted to order something again. Because
Do
otherwise,
you
if
have
they're
anything?
just through, they and they're not going to come back, they have no way to access us.
Okay. So yeah, some additional considerations with regard to
It's a low cost, it's a low investment, I think, for a good return, especially considering how much we've done in the first year.
it's another consideration. So with that in mind, and the $9,600 that's being requested, and then Danny, as you've requested the $25,000 from the Indian Valley Community Services District, so their grant request, and does everybody have that? Let me just for ease, I'll share my screen here for a moment.
Yeah, he's pulling that up. That was published at our last meeting. It should be in your emails, everybody.
Correct. Yes, thank you. Okay. So the Indian Valley Community Services District, we had their interim general manager, Jamie Little. She came 2 weeks ago to kind of give the overview of what they're requesting and really why they were requesting the money. And this is kind of the so what right here. So I'm highlighting it. This project addresses a critical gap with limited staff capacity and heavy operational demands following the Dixie Fire. IVCSD has not been able to consistently produce meeting minutes, manage public communications, or distribute updates. Funding will allow the district to ensure residents, fire survivors, and ratepayers are consistently informed about board decisions, infrastructure priorities, and recovery efforts. Builds a foundation for future FEMA and CDBG-DR compliance reporting, improves the district's ability to meet transparency standards, reduces administrative burden on overextended staff by centralizing communication tasks under one structured program. So that's kind of the foot stomper as to why they're requesting the money. If you go back down, you'll find an overview of their project summary, what the community benefit is with regard to trust access, timelines, and recovery. And then here are their overall project objectives. So they intend to create a newsletter, regular press releases, social media engagement and management. One of the ones that I understand they're having trouble with is meeting transcription with regard to their minutes for their monthly general CSD meetings. And then there's the backlog of minutes that haven't been documented, which I personally don't know why that was the case, but it is, according to what Miss Little described 2 weeks ago. And then here's the overall budget. So you can see a large, about half of it is covered with regard to this compiling board meetings, video backlog, and transcription of the $25,000. Additionally, what they're looking for is, looking at, this would be for about a year, of $5,700, 5,760 to keep that going, that process going. And then here is their kind of engagement platforms. Here are whether it be the newsletter, press releases, social media management, web and distribution support, and then miscellaneous supplies down at the bottom. So that's what they're looking for. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
So I'll speak up because I kind of said we should talk about this. But anyway, if it's all right with Lida and Greg, or Lida had her hand up first.
No, you go.
Yeah, so, I'm seeing this as a critical need for communications, which has been severely lacking, and justified understandings and maybe unjustified interpretation of what might or might not have gone on. We critically need some deep communications of what's going on within the ICVSD. And if we can help them to provide that, I think that's one of the items that we should be doing. That directly speaks to, I believe, what I believe is our fundamental needed.
Okay. Lida and then Greg.
Yeah, just two quick things. I know we talked about the fact that they have a certain amount of money and why that money isn't covering these needs. And secondly, we asked about whether they were using AI transcriptions, and if so, why is it so expensive? I mean, I understand the backlog situation, but why would it cost $5,700 to keep continuing to cover the next 12 months?
Yeah, so, and to your first comment, Lida, Jamie did say that they have approximately $3 million left. At least that's her general understanding of the funds that they have, and that's my understanding was that that's exclusive of what they have in terms of revenue from their ratepayers, which I've been trying to get a read on really what they think their usage is right now, and from what I understand, it's about 15% of what they had before the fire. So when it comes to ratepayers, whatever they had on August 3rd of 2021, they're at about 15% of that right now. But I've asked like how they know that, and I have never really gotten a source documentation to reflect that. But anyway, my understanding though, when Jamie was talking about the $3 million that they had, that was still from grants from state or federal grants that they have that were basically given to the CSD to offset their expenses ever since the fire. So yes, they have approximately $3 million at their disposal. And then as it relates to, so the down at the bottom of the budget, they talk about $280, and that's for there's a transcription AI platform known as Otter AI. And that actually is relatively inexpensive. So it's only a couple $100 for a half a year subscription. My understanding is with the video backlog is what they're actually want to have like a person review the video and then do the transcription, kind of the old-fashioned way of just taking notes, taking typed notes off of the video transcription the video that exists, and then transcribe what they see and hear in that video.
Yeah, I get that one. I just was unclear about the ongoing current situation, why that's costing $5,700 or whatever it is.
And that is The funding supports up to 12 meetings during the grant period at approximately 12 hours per meeting, though actual time may vary based on audio quality and complexity. I would imagine it'd be less than that because, if it's an hour-long meeting, I don't know that you're spending more time than the actual time spent on the meeting transcript. I don't know. But yes, understood. Greg, you have your hand up.
I just want to tag on to Danny's. I think that given the stuff that's gone on in the community, that this is a really important thing to do. The communication was really lacking, and it was a huge problem for people. Obviously, for whichever side of this you fall on or whatever, I think that better communication and more clear communication about everything that's going on is really an important thing in this. So I'm just tagging on with Danny that I think on the scale of what's important that this one's up in there.
Yeah, and I can speak a little bit to their staffing, and it's their administrative support staffing that they have at the office is very minimal. It's Jamie Little is interim general manager herself, and I think she splits time between this community services district and another one closer to Weed, California. And then there is I think they have 2 staff members that work part-time for rate collection. And then just other, office management type tasks. So I do know that they have limited personnel right now to do some of this work. Who did we lose? We lost Matt.
We lost Matt.
What other thoughts or considerations do we have on this topic?
Yeah, I guess I want to, just in talking with some people in the ICVSD and around understanding, and I did see was addressed by the interim director, is that their quote unquote burn rate, if you will, their expenses are far exceeding the inflow from ratepayers. So that money that's sitting out there that people are saying, well, they got all this money, they really don't have. I mean, they're chewing through that. And I believe, well, I just think that the communication is necessary. And the other thing too, if they're on the hook, that will place them on the hook to us, if you will, as to communication. So that gives them another body outside of themselves that's helping to push them to clean it up and help make things more transparent. So there's a motivation factor in there besides the need. Anyway.
Okay, I just texted Matt to see if he can tune back in here. Yeah, that's Danny, what you just described about their finances. So just like the rancheria, sort of the elephant in the room here is that PG&E settlement. And when is it going to happen? How much could it possibly be? How much would that help offset some of their financial woes, not only in the near term, but really in the long term, and be able to support them in developing not only sustainability with their workforce, but then as an entity itself, right? As a special district here. And, at the end of the day, their service area is relatively small with what they provide for water and sewer when you think vis-a-vis the rest of Indian Valley. But then with the fire department services and things that they're doing with that, and they have broken ground recently on the safety center. Then it's one of those things that it is kind of interesting how that can work for them to be a lasting special district of benefit for the community as we continue to work through some of these rebuilding processes. So yeah, and the the difficulty sometimes of having enough hands, right, to do the work. And if this is something that works as an investment to alleviate some of the public concern around the CSD, what they're doing, what they're not doing, and being able to have people verify that, right, and not speculate and play into the rumor mill, but actually just get factual information from the source itself. That may help them in the long run.
I think so.
A little bit out of a loss right now. I texted Matt to see if he's still able to come on because it would be helpful to have at least 6 if anybody wanted to engage on a vote on this. So I'll see what happens here. While we're kind
Kylie
of,
around too, by any chance, or Kylie?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Is anybody else available, or have you pinged everybody? What about Kylie and some of the other people?
I know that Kaylee was only able to be on for that first like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. She had another engagement. And I don't know why Dax wasn't able to make it, but Dax was not able to make it.
All right.
I'll talk a little bit about the Greenville campground, and then we can come back to this. I reached out to a company called Romtech, which they're based out of Oregon, and Romtech, they do a lot of things with regard to public use buildings, whether it be picnic awnings, park structures, etc. And they've done a lot of work with the National Park Service, the Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, etc. And what they do is they create prefabricated, what they do is they have engineered plans for facilities that can be used at federal and state campgrounds, among other places. So they provide a lot of recreation spaces, utility. I was talking to the sales guy, and he said that their owner and CEO, he was once a Forest Service employee himself, and saw a need with regard to facilities at campgrounds, and the rest is history. So they provide pre-engineered stamped drawings that help with the basic needs for both bathrooms and shower houses and things of that nature at campgrounds. So if we're talking about like the Greenville campground, I was able to get 2 different engineered drawings, and then they don't prefabricate, but what they do is they sell the materials after. So the contract goes out to bid, and then just a general contractor is able to pick it up, and then they palletize all of the materials required for that, that make and model of, in this particular case, I asked for a bathhouse. And then, everything is palletized on trucks. It shows up, and then you kind of start with pallet 1, and you work your way through of the foundation, the framing, the roofing, etc. And so I'm a little, I thought I'd asked for like an actual estimate to start ballparking what this is going to be, what this is going to cost. And I think there's a couple more steps. I just got that last week, and I got to follow up with him. I asked for kind of like the base model plus, let's see if I can find it real quick. It's kind of neat. But in conversations with the Forest Service themselves, they'd almost actually prefer if a third party, contracted and did everything at the campground, and then they just kind of approve it instead of themselves doing it, because of just the, I don't want to speak for them, but as what I could figure is sort of as simple as bureaucratic red tape. And
Right.
nothing amazing than that. But here's one of the drawings right here. And this has, it says one sink and toilet, another one that is ADA approved, and then also an ADA shower, and then another shower. That's one, and kind of simple design. And then
Cool.
here's another one. So this is kind of just a first start. I was going to push this back to the Forest Service to kind of see what their thoughts were, and then the next step would also be the discussion of there are 5 campsites there that could be reconfigured as recreational vehicle sites with the appropriate utilities going to them, like electricity is the numero uno, and then there's potential for like a waste a waste station there as well for the RVs. And what's the so what there? The so what is that, with that campground being, 9 miles away from the Canyon Dam boat ramp, and access to the lake, and they're just kind of beefing up the facilities a little bit to then obviously have more conduit traffic between the lake, East Shore, Canyon Dam, and Greenville, from April until October. And then just have more RV facilities, because the other, waste station here is at the Taylorsville campground, which is, it's another 13 miles or so away on the other side of the valley. So just making things more accommodating. And, once again, it's not like the end all be all. It doesn't like cure all, but it just makes the campground there in Greenville just more enticing with the services that can be provided there. So more to follow. Sherry or Cass, do you have your hand up?
Do they only have room for 5 campsites? So it seems like there's a lot more space there.
Oh, yeah, good point. So there's I think there's 17 total campsites there right now. The 5 comes from a sub panel that was installed there in 2011, or not or a full electrical panel that had been designed for 5 pedestal hookups to it, right? So the panel and I don't know why it was 5, and I can't seem to find anybody that knows. But this project had initially started with the Indian Valley Community Services District and the Forest Service in 2011. And then it just got abandoned in like 2012 for reasons that are unknown. But the transformer and then the panel that's there for the hookups, that was already installed for 5. So it could be, I guess, changed, but for what exists there right now, that's where the 5 comes from. Greg, you have your hand up, and then we'll go to Clint.
Yeah, I want to thank you for following up on this for a start. I think that it's a really good idea for the various activities, like for the ride, the Century ride and stuff like that. I think that it's a really good thing. So you've got drawings that you're passing on. Do we have any idea of any kind of number around what it is to get the drawings and the pallets here?
Yeah, I gotta be honest, like that's what I thought I was getting. And I got the email from the sales rep, and it was helpful, but I still have questions, and so I got to follow up with him because I thought I was getting like a ballpark. He was very clear. He's like, "Look, I can't give you like what an actual cost is going to be because it all depends on the contractor that you go with and how they."
Right.
This company does provide contracting services, like they can do it, but they're limited, right? So he's like, if you go with us, maybe we'll get to you in 3 years, that type of thing. But his point was that any general contractor that has a license in California should be able to put this together, that they make it fairly user friendly to construct without getting too crazy with it.
Yeah. No, the plans looked great. I mean, he had an ADU bathroom and,
Yeah.
so it was like 4 showers and I thought it was really good. So,
Yeah. He gave me 3 different vendor purchasing contract, like resource companies. One's called Sourceware, one's called Buyboard, and one's called Keystone. And those are the 3 that you can structure contracts through to make sure that you're getting guaranteed the lowest bidder. Meaning that when you put it out for bid, there's already contractors that work with these entities because, as a public space, so definitely with like the federal government, to make sure that, through the contracting process that, to make that a little bit more user friendly. But those are like questions that I have for like the Forest Service because I'm like, how do what do they expect from this process, and what are their regulations that are non-negotiable that they have to follow, and those are things that I'm just not very clear on. I've never done that, so but we can figure it out. Clint, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I understand my two large grant requests are probably contingent upon the DFC getting, more money in the near future. Regarding the small grant application, is that going to be contingent upon the vote for the IVCSD, or is that going to be a standalone? The only reason I ask is I have to leave soon for the Indian Valley Chamber of Commerce meeting. I'm making my grant proposals there also.
Yeah, so I don't know that we're gonna get Matt back on today to be able to vote on that, and because we've lost our quorum.
Oh, okay, I understand.
But our next regularly scheduled meeting would be on the 17th, which is 2 weeks from today. So more to follow by then is the best I can kind of give you right now, Clint, if it's
Okay.
time sensitive.
That's fine.
Okay. And then I'll follow up in an email with you, Sam, and Kim, with
Yeah.
the discussion around the move-in relocation grant.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. I
All right, thanks, Clint.
got it wrong. You
Thanks,
bet.
Clint.
Uh-huh.
Be good.
Thanks,
Have fun.
everybody.
Yeah, so more to follow on the campground idea, but I'm just kind of like, for me, having just a ballpark, are we talking $50,000 or we're talking $300,000? What is this? What's the expectation here? And I don't really know right now, but I will follow up. The last item I had on there was the Plumas Fire Safe Council. I'm meeting with them on Wednesday, specifically a project coordinator that they have, a gentleman by the name of Daryl Webster, who you may know. Daryl he's working on some of the mitigation programs and specifically the gravel grant that the Plumas Fire Safe Council, it sounds like they're going to take the lead on, and they may come back to us with a supplemental request to help with that. So if you recall, this goes back, it was actually Marcia that kind of initiated this many, many months ago, and just some good conversations with the Rebuild Paradise Foundation on how they manage these processes and how that it helps, and as it has helped with some of the insurance woes in their area, and if this is something that we can replicate here, and even if it doesn't help with insurance, if it makes a home that much more defensible in preparation for fire, then that's also good too. Danny, you have your hand up?
Yes, and I was going to bring it up beginning, but actually fits right in here. I have AAA insurance, and I've got a form of California Fire Mitigation Verification form. And, our house being recently built, it meets almost all this criteria, but I need somebody with a National Fire Protection Association certification who can do the inspection and sign it off. We thought we had that a couple weeks back. The neighbor talked to the Fire Safe Council. The lady that came over and talked over and said, "Oh, I haven't gotten that certification." And it seems that nobody in the Quincy office has that, and anywhere around. I had contacted CAL FIRE, the people that I gotten in order to get the waiver to rebuild the house. And they go, "Oh, we don't have anybody here." And then it says, the other option is talk to your local fire department. And do we have any volunteer fire department people who have that certification? But so this is something that, I'm looking to lower the cost of my insurance and lower the cost of having the house. And so I'm sure if people haven't seen that, wait for your next renewal period. I'm sure everybody's gonna have to have this, even, like I say, ours is just a recent rebuild and should be almost a check mark, a check box. Like, the only thing we don't have is our enclosed eaves, but the 5 foot of clearance, this, that, everything else. So I could try to complain to the insurance company, say, here, I'll take all the pictures and such, but they do want somebody with that certification to sign off on it. So
Yeah, it's the NFPA 25. Does that sound familiar?
I don't know what the 25 is, but it's somebody has to have NFPA certification in order to sign off.
Okay, let me, I'll reach out to a couple of the folks that I talked to at that insurance forum. And I got, just some points of contact for other things. Let me follow up with them to see if they have any good ideas on that. Because maybe if it's something that the CAL FIRE folks here are unable to provide, then maybe we just got to go like another step up to like the regional CAL FIRE or the section CAL FIRE. I don't know. But that might be something that we could get going, and then maybe put it on a semi-annual cycle and advertise it that in October and April these inspections will be taking place, and kind of get your name on a list, that type of thing.
Right. So what I could do, I'll send you the form that I have that I got from AAA and
Yeah.
that they're using that, and where it says on the bottom, just so you have an idea for a resource to help with your discussions. But anyway, I thought
Great.
that fell into this Fire Safe Council idea, and we're looking. And actually, the other thing too is the neighbors down the street from us, they're Windy. We were talking amongst ourselves there to try to get together a few more people. Even declare a Main Street Fire Safe Council. I know they have I guess it's the Williams Valley one right
Yeah,
now.
that's what we're working on that right now is Williams and Pex Valley
Right.
FireWise community.
Firewise, right?
And but a larger like Greenville FireWise community would really be it would behoove every property owner, right? To be engaged as a FireWise community. In fact, on Sunday, Julian and Marcia and I are meeting to talk about kind of our next sort of attack plan to make sure that just local residents are engaged on the FireWise front, and just to do the documentation.
Right.
Half the battle, I'll say 3/4 of the battle is really like education. It's not the work. People are doing the work, right? People are, they're doing their own burn piles, they're raking, they're trimming, they're doing this, that, and the other. The work is appropriately documenting it, and
Right.
and that type of thing. And
Right.
that's what everybody forgets to do, or doesn't really have the time to do, and it's like, where do I go and what do I got to do, and how did that, and so trying to cut through some of that, just paperwork to make it a little bit easier. So I'll follow up with you individually, Danny, to kind of see how we can extend that down the.
Danny could also try calling Amber Hughes, who is in charge of the FireWise group. It's actually the same number as the Fire Safe. And we at our leads meetings for FireWise, we talk about certification. So she might know stuff that I don't know.
I think I'm going to see her on Wednesday, Danny, because I'm going down to the Fire Safe Council to talk to them about this stuff. So
Okay.
if you don't mind, I'll spam your number out there, right? I'll
Right.
put it out all over the place so that no, I'm just kidding. I'll give it to Amber so that she can follow up with you and just at least get the conversation started about what to do next.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of us that are around there, I'm sure, that would love to get a discount on our insurance. And, the simple one is the form, but the big bang the buck is the FireWise community, which is a huge benefit to us overall, but huge benefit from an insurance point of view.
100%. And that was a key foot stomper from that insurance form was FireWise communities. If you don't have one, get one, and be a card carrying member.
Right. So I understand it's easy. You've got an enclosed more or less enclosed for, you can claim for Williams Valley and Pex Valley, but then we start to grow out. And I don't know how large or how small they can allow us. And we were just trying to entertain the idea of a main street to grow.
Yeah.
And of course, then we have to get Marcia from across the street, but I think she'll join.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, thanks. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
all good, all good. All right. It is almost 10 after 5, so I don't want to cut things short here. Does anybody, just real quick, let me just, a couple things. So, good event on Saturday with the, Indian Valley Recreation Parks District, from 12 to 2 over at the school. They did a walkthrough, talk through of both the makerspace and, the fitness center. So, they've, hired Melissa Lopez as their executive director, and then I think what is occurring now is that really soon, like they said, any I think this week they'll get card access on the doors of the gym so that it can be used at the posted hours for community members, which is going to be I think 5:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on weekdays when school's in session, and then 4 p.m. I think to 10 p.m. at night. And then the weekends are open as well. And then that card access will give, you can go in there during those parameters and be able to use the gym. The other thing is that the makerspace, they've got all the equipment that they wanted, all that stuff is set up. They've got embroidery, a small CNC laser engraver, some 3D printers, like leather workshop stuff, sewing, knitting, a couple other things. Similar process, right? You'll have a card, or I think that one's more for like classes and like structured times where like an expert, if you will be on hand to help navigate some of that equipment and so on and so forth. But they have a website up now, and I think that's going to be like where they're going to direct people to with questions. But that went well on Saturday. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's off and running. And there was a lot of volunteer and sweat equity, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term. But the Rotary put in a lot of time and effort to help make that place a success. So to Keston, Sherry, and other Rotarians, thank you for that. And then the scoreboards have arrived for the park project over at the Greenville Park. So that was another thing that is off and running. And the landscaping company that's doing the irrigation system, they were over there last week, putting in the sprinklers. All the groundwork, the dirt work has been accomplished there by Spurs Trucking. They did all that. And then the dugouts for the second field, they've been there. All the fences got rolled up, and maybe they're going to reuse some of them. I don't know. But that project's underway over at the park. Yeah. So, all right. And then we talked about biochar. That was good. What other, does anybody else have any other committee member updates that they'd like to share with the team?
I just want to put a shout out to Kaylee, because he was there on Saturday when they did the ribbon cutting, just talking about all the things that he's done to get that soft baseball field over at the park done. He's put in a ton of time and work, and I really appreciate it. And he's not here to hear it, but he's part of our board, so.
Yeah, absolutely. He's put a lot of his own time to make that successful. Anybody else?
One really quick thing, and that's, to Danny, when we first started the Firewise in Greenville, like 6 months before the fire, it was a huge area, and it included all the way up to where the grade goes to Crescent Mills, and where the grade goes to Canyon Dam, and Peck's, Williams Valley, Okie Flats, and it's a huge area. And so I was talking to Cade Moeller and to Wendy about getting together, but I've been doing these red eye therapies in Reno, and I have 2 more to do on this round. So anyway, we're gonna get together and talk about it, about Greenville.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing is that, Cade he's a project coordinator for the
Yeah,
For last,
Lassen County
Yeah.
Fire Safety Council.
he's a good resource.
He's got,
but he can't sign.
he's got some knowledge. So,
Right. Yeah, I understand that, but I need that inspector, somebody with that MPFA. Anyway,
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
got you, dude. Yeah, I got you.
no, he has been providing some knowledge. I mean, he is my back fence neighbor. I understand that. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think with that, we'll go ahead and, there's not a quorum to vote on it, but, we'll adjourn at this point at 5:15 p.m. if that's okay with everybody.
Sure, Patrick, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much. And one save comment is as these things materialize between now and our next meeting, funding wise, like if there's more, like if I know anything, that's not information that I'm like sitting on, just so as you know. Like if anything changes with these larger commitments, I'll let everybody know just so you can start to put that in the back of your brain of like what the impacts to that mean.
Right. And kind of quickly on that, I didn't say anything about a treasurer's update because we already know there's no change since the last meeting. The balance
Yeah,
is
exactly.
the same. So
Time is precious, so I didn't want to
Right.
like.
I just wanted, I'm just saying that there is no change and confirming that Patrick still has the right number that he's using. So good.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Danny. All right, team. Thank you very much and enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks for still hanging with us, Patrick.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good day.
All right.